Hello and welcome to another episode of
Old Nintendo Gamer
and Son. And this is our top 10 SNES or SNES games that we like.
Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yes, and we're gonna start this right off the bat with number 10. What is that?
So number 10 is Batman Returns. This is a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up which introduced a mechanic where you'd be between two enemies and you could slam their heads together or even direct where you threw them, so you'd grapple them just like in Final Fight and other 2D side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and then you could throw them up into the background or down into the foreground and you could smash them through shop front windows or clang them into lampposts.
Well, that's gotta hurt.
And it certainly sounded like it hurt. Very fun beat 'em up.
And number 9 is Star Fox. Now, this is a flying shooting game. Well, I didn't actually play Star Fox, but I think it's good because I played Star Fox Zero on the Wii U, and I kind of liked it. I also watched videos about Star Fox, watching people play them.
From the SNES, sorry.
Yes, and it looked insane.
It's got a bit of slowdown because it was pushing 3D graphics that the console couldn't handle, so it had an extra visual FX chip inside the cartridge itself. But yes, it's a wonderful 3D
shooting
on-rails shooter, which incidentally is called Starwing in Europe, not Star Fox.
And what is number 8, Dad?
Well, the song in the background is playing from that very game. This is Simon's theme you can hear in the background. The game is Super Castlevania 4, and this is my favourite Castlevania game. I played this through to completion as a child, and the rotation rooms, while they did provide a bit of slowdown, everything else with the changes in the action style of Castlevania was superlative. On to number 7. What is it, Moggs?
It's Final Fight. Because I played it on the Switch, which is available in a Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle game. It's called.
It is the arcade version in that.
Yes, and it features Final Fight and a bunch of other crazy arcade games. And it also features a lot of enemies, like when I played Final Fight on the Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle on the Switch, there were literally enemies everywhere on the screen.
Which is not quite true of the SNES version. It has less enemies on screen because of the console power, and we can play 2-player on the Switch, but the SNES only had
1.
It did only have 1 player. They rectified that when Final Fight 2 came out, but it was Final Fight that established my beat-em-up credentials. Number 6 is more of a Morgan game rather than me. What is it, Morgan?
Kirby's Dreamland 3.
And why is this at number 6?
Well, because one of the main reasons you can ride on the back of Koo, Kine, and Rick.
There's a few others. I think there's about 6 to 8. I can't remember how many in total, but animal friends you can jump on the back of, yes.
Yes, and they have some insane effects.
Every animal will affect Kirby's different powers in different ways, and by linking them together, you can get some amazing elemental attacks.
Yes.
I'm not overly enthusiastic about the game itself, but I love the art style in the game. It's like a pastel, crayon-shaded, cartoon, hand-drawn affair.
Yes. And in the number 5 spot
is another one of my favourite games. This is a game I used to play with my 2 brothers, and we used to play like Winner Stays On or whoever wanted to play on for the longest. It's Street Fighter 2. And the Turbo Edition is better than the original edition, basically because of the introduction of new characters, balances to moves, and the speed it ran at. But it was the first one, Street Fighter 2, that we played to death on the SNES. Even from when we got the SNES originally over Christmas, Street Fighter 2 was hardly ever off the SNES for the entire length of the console cycle. Who's your favourite character in Street Fighter 2?
I never played the game.
I always used to main Ryu. Hadouken! So it's on to number 4, and this is another one of your games.
Yes. It's Kirby Superstar. Now, the reason why this is number 4 on the list is because I played the Ultra version of this on the DS and I loved it.
And why is this a better game than Kirby's Dreamland 3? What can you do in this that you can't in the other one?
Kirby Superstar, it has a lot of mini games and stuff, but Kirby's Dreamland 3 doesn't.
There's a greater variety in what you can do.
Yes. And the number 3 is a series of the Legend of Zelda games. What it is, Dad?
I love the Legend of Zelda game, and this game turned me into a gamer, and I've played through it maybe 8 to 10 times at least. From memory, it's a game that I always will go back to it because I cherish it that much. It's The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. It did something between generations of changing from the NES to the SNES consoles. It turned an awkward and unclear progressionally wise game into an epic action adventure with slight RPG mechanics of collecting certain weapons to use against enemies. But it was the story that pushed forward as you rescued Zelda and finally took down Ganon, the big fat pig. It won't take much imagination to think of the last 2 games on this list that we haven't already mentioned as 2 superlative games. And what's at number 2, Moggs?
It's Super Mario World. The reason I like this game because, well, I played the theme of it in Super Mario Maker 2, and it's incredible graphics, even though it is a SNES game.
Yes, because a lot of SNES games using those 2D sprites can still look very beautiful today, whereas something like on the N64, which we'll talk about at a later date, with 3D polygonal graphics don't hold up as well as these beautiful things. And Super Mario World is a beautiful game, and it's got beautifully designed levels. Most of the levels are short enough not to overstay their welcome, and there's 96 of them in total.
Really?
If you can find all the hidden ones, yes. And there's a hidden world as well. So it added in this overworld map, which you could find secrets in as well.
Ooh.
From my perspective, it did everything that Super Mario Bros. 3 did, but it did it bigger and better.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think this was the second Super Mario Bros. Game I finished to completion. The first one being the first one, Super Mario Bros. On the NES, and this was my second one. I never finished number 2 and 3 back when I was a child. Did you finish Super Mario World?
Nope.
Are you going to finish Super Mario World?
I am.
And if you do want to play it, it's on the Nintendo Switch Online SNES app. What about number 1?
Number 1 is kind of like a racing game like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch. This one is called Super Mario Kart. Is this one of the first Mario Kart games?
It is the first Mario Kart games, and this is what sold a lot of SNES to people, because the SNES was one of the first consoles to plug in 2 controllers into the front of the console. So, because you had wires back then, there was no Bluetooth, you couldn't link your controller wirelessly. So you could have 2-player split-screen kart racing with Mario and Co. from the get-go. Because when you bought a SNES, it came with 2 controllers. Absolutely awesome game, and this was on my SNES as much as Super Street Fighter 2 was. Have you driven in Super Mario Kart?
Yes.
It's a little awkward to go back to after how Mario Kart 8 handles, but what did you think of it?
It's kind of nice, although you don't know when to turn or steer, whatever.
That will take a little bit of getting used to.
Yes.
Very difficult racing game, but a lot of fun in 2 players. So thank you for listening to our top 10 SNES games.
Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can check out our other great content on Twitter and the Café podcast from all good podcast providers, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and TuneIn. Follow the links below.